Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bitter Rivals podcast. This is episode 110. I am your host, Avery Roush, along with co-host Gitano Gallo. As always, this episode is powered by 91N. If you don't follow them and check out what they have to offer, I suggest you do so because it's some fantastic content. You could also find us on there if that's where you choose to watch us. Up to you. Anyway. Let's talk about some hockey. We got a couple of really shitty hockey teams to talk about right now. One's supposed to be shitty, the other one isn't, but they're both shitty, so let's talk about them. As always, I guess we'll start with the Leafs because I believe I might be wrong in saying this. I believe a stat I saw is the Leafs have 5 regulation wins this year, and that is not good. That is really, really not good for this hockey team. And there are pieces of this team that seem to be shells of themselves. Namely, and he was called out by the coach. Mitch Marner has looked the most pedestrian he's looked in his entire career.
He looks like playoff Mitch Marner.
He looks like he just can't connect a pass. Every time he makes what made him great always was his ability to see things that other people can't see and see passes that other people can't see and set up guys for sure goals because of how great his play was. But he seems to have lost, at least so far throughout this season, that ability to see those things. And every time he tries something like that, something that he used to be so successful with before, it always ends up on the other team's stick. And it's always at the wrong place at the wrong time. And it often results in a goal against. And that's a major problem for Mitch Marner. In my opinion, he's playing himself out of a lot of money right now, especially with the way Willie Nylander's playing. And Willie's been cold for a couple of games here, too, after his point streak ended. He's looked a little different, too, the past couple games. It's not just not having points with him, but we'll stick on Marner for now. I'll get to Nylander in a second. Yeah, I don't know if it's something that needs to be done in terms of maybe taking him off of that wing for a few games. Or, I think that's really all the coach has in his arsenal to wake a player up, is to take him off of the top line.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're not going to fucking healthy scratch him.
No, you're not going to healthy Mitch Marner, but I mean, it's always I'm talking the giveaways that I'm talking about seem to always happen right at our blue line. He's putting guys offside right at their blue line, and then whenever he tries to make a pass that he was making so effortlessly in the past into the slot or into the front of the net, he just can't seem to thread the needle. And that's what makes him great. He doesn't have great speed. He doesn't have a great shot. He's got some pretty good hands. He's got some pretty good defensive instincts, and he can pass the puck. That's what makes Mitch Marner a great hockey player. That's what makes him an $11 million hockey player, is the fact that he can see the ice like he does in terms of defense and offense. And it's just not there right now. It's hard to watch because I'm a fan of Mitch Marner. He gets criticized a lot, but right now it's more deserving than it's ever been. Is how I see it. I don't know if you've been paying attention to what he's been doing.
I mean, the best way I can say, it's I don't watch every Leafs game. I really couldn't care for them unless they're playing the Habs. But the biggest thing for me is I'm not hearing his name a lot at all. And it felt like in the previous seasons, it was always there was always the NHL fucking accounts were always sharing clips of his highlights, everything like that was happening, and I've not seen any of it this season so far.
Magic Mitch, right? That's what we're used to, and he's lost the touch, man. I don't know if he needs what he needs to do. I don't know if he needs to take a couple games off. I hurt my ankle. I got to take a couple games off, see the ice maybe from the box, and maybe that'll change your perspective on things. Because, man, he's just a shell of himself right now. And now let's move into Willie Nylander. And Willie Nylander, for the first, I think it was 17 games of the season.
Yeah.
He looked. The thing about his dominance through those games was every time he touched the puck, he looked dangerous. He looked like he was going to do something, and oftentimes he did throughout the first 17 games of the season. The past couple games, however, he's looked a lot more floaty I think is the term to describe how he's playing. He doesn't seem to be skating as hard. He doesn't look as dangerous when he has the puck. It's almost like he's run out of gas just a little bit. And it's only a couple of games. I'm not trying to tear the guy
Yeah.
completely down here. It's only a couple games, but you do start to see a little bit of aggression from that star, like one of the best players in the world that he was for the first 17 games, right? And I guess throughout those games there were signs of the Willie Nylander that old heads hate. The guy who sometimes floats, maybe doesn't finish his checks, stuff like that. But you see it for a couple of games here sustained, and you hope it doesn't turn into more. Somebody who deserves a lot of credit in Toronto right now is Morgan Riley.
I was actually just about to bring him up because he's been like really, really fucking good so far.
Well, not only is he putting up like really, really good offensive numbers in terms of points and X goals for, but his defensive ability is on another level this year, like compared to what it's been throughout his entire career. And he's had a long career, and it's fantastic because he's got a new contract, right? So to see him getting better and not regressing is huge for the length of that contract. It's an 8-year deal. I believe it kicked in it either kicks in the beginning of this year or next year, I forget.
I think it kicked in this year.
I believe it kicked in this year.
He signed it last year, right?
Yeah, he did. So it must have kicked in this year. That's why I was thinking. But anyway, he deserves a lot of credit. He's quarterbacking the power play, which was something John Klingberg was supposed to do, and we'll talk about that later as well. He's, like I said, he's one of our better defensive defensemen, and that's not something that we could say ever. So that's been really nice to see because he eats up a lot of minutes. He's out there a lot. So for him not to be a liability defensively is huge for this Toronto team.
I mean, he's never been a liability defensively for you guys, has he?
No, he's been below average though.
Yeah.
Right, and
that's fair.
And for him to be one of the better defensive players on the team this year, what he's doing back there is just fantastic. It's unbelievable. Similar to what Carlson's doing out in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Not on the same level. Like I get Erik Karlsson's a very different player than Morgan Riley, like a tier above. I get that, but
their respective evolutions are similar right now.
Similar track, exactly.
Yeah. And who's Morgan Riley been playing with? Because I know his partner is it Brody still?
Brody, yeah.
And how's he been? Has he just been kind of the same old, or
same old? Yeah, he actually, you should have seen a pass he made in the game against Chicago for, was it Bertuzzi's goal? I think it was Bertuzzi's goal against Chicago. He made one of the best offensive plays of his entire career. Like, it was awesome. It was just a perfect backdoor pass and like just basically scored off of Bertuzzi's stick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was awesome to see, but that's not something you're going to get from him every night. We know that. He's a defensive defenseman. He makes $4.5 million to play defense, and that's what he does. And that's why he's been a great partner for Morgan Riley. And that might be part of the reason why Morgan Riley looks so good defensively this year, is because he's got TJ Brody to rely
All
on.
right. You want to talk John Klingberg?
Well, yeah, I guess there's a lot to talk about in Leafs land, but this will be the last piece. John Klingberg doesn't sound like he's actually ever going to play hockey again, which is kind of crazy because we just signed him to a contract for $4.5 million like a couple months ago. And he never got like hurt, like he never took a hit in a game or something that like sent him out. This is an injury that's been bothering him his entire career. I believe it's a hip injury, and he's had 2 hip surgeries throughout his career.
Yeah.
How did we not know that this was going to happen? Like, we have the best doctors in sports, man. Like, how do we not know?
You might not have the best doctors in sports, but you can afford them.
That's fair. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And for Mike Johnson to say that, but because he took the plane back with them from Sweden after the Sweden trip, and he said he saw John Klingberg on that plane walking. He's not playing. Like, he's not. His hip is totally fucked up. Like, he's not playing. So I don't really know what the hell the point of that whole thing was with him. Like, and now we have like $15 million on LTIR. Jake Muzzin, Matt Murray, and the newest member of Roby Island, fucking John Kling. It's comical. It's honestly hilarious. And we're gonna get accused of cheating, but like that's not how this works. These guys are all very, very long-term firms. Like
yeah, no, it's the same. It was the same as the Habs having like Weber and Price and all those guys on LTIR. So it's like, it's not cheating. It's just super fucking unfortunate.
Well, and like this is a guy we signed to a contract this summer. Like,
yes, it's not like you're like 4 years into like an 8-year deal with him. Like,
yeah, and said no, go to Roby Island. No, like we just signed this guy. Trust me, we wanted him to play. Like that was the whole point of signing a guy, is for him to, especially for north of $4 million. Like you want the guy to play well, and that's clearly not going to happen. So, yeah, it's a weird scenario. I don't like that whole thing. Like Treliving's already made some absolutely crazy, questionable decisions. I'll just briefly touch on it. Bertuzzi's looked great. He looks like that $5 million player. Domi might be the first guy to get 50 assists in a season and not score a single goal. Because he can't. He doesn't. I don't think he even like tries to score. He's a very good passer though, and him on that line with Yarncroke and Nick Robertson has looked fantastic. By the way, up in the NHL, like the realtor that gets to sell his house near the Ricoh Coliseum is about to make a lot of money. But that third line is incredible. Ryan Reeves scored a goal.
oh, I'm more shocked that Ryan Reeves played a game.
He got into one. He got into one game. Bobby McMahon sat and Revo scored. But yeah, that's enough about the Leafs. Like I said, I wanted to leave it at Klingberg, but I did want to just get a quick update there on all of the new pieces. So Bertuzzi, Domi, Klingberg, and who else are we talking about? Anyway, those are the big ones.
Yeah. Yeah,
let's get into
been, a little more of the same old. So Marty St. Louis actually called the team out after the loss against Boston last Saturday. Called them. Oh, he didn't call the players soft. He said we played soft. There were areas of the ice where we played soft, which is not what you want to hear from your coach publicly. Obviously, whatever you say in the room stays in the room. But actually got like a decent response from him, beating the Ducks 4-3 in regulation. Also, you said the Leafs only have 5 regulation wins. The Habs only have 3. So lots of overtime and shootout wins, but yeah, 60-minute hockey games have been a struggle for the Habs so far.
Yeah. Well, I feel you.
And then beat the Sharks too in a shootout. Jesse Ullinen with one of the nastiest shootout goals I've ever seen. Like, I don't know what Mackenzie Blackwood was thinking, but like he was nowhere fucking near that puck. It was
just a sick move.
And then we got clapped by the Kings last night, but that is what it is. The Kings are actually a half decent team this season.
They are.
The big theme continuing for the Habs is injuries in the back end. So Arbor Xhekaj and Jordan Harris are both out. None of them on LTIR yet, but we did get to see
like the Xhekaj injuries long term.
Like maybe. They said week to week, but I don't like that. That doesn't fill me with confidence when they're saying stuff like that. The Harris one they said is day to day, so I'm not as worried.
Fair enough.
But we finally got to see Jaden Struble make his NHL debut. He was sick at college level. Was having a great start to the AHL, his AHL season, and like the best way I can put his debut was like I didn't hear his name a lot. He was just very quiet, very efficient, nothing fancy, just like a solid, like didn't look out of his depth NHL debut, which is exactly what you want from a defenseman. You don't want to, or a defensive defenseman, I should say. But yeah, if a guy like Cale Makar, like obviously you want to hear his name a lot. But yeah, Struble looked like stupid good so far. We've seen the Habs continue to roll the goalies. So Primo, Montembeault, and Allen have all been getting starts. Rumor is that the Oilers are interested in one of the 3.
I was just going to ask that.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm going to be honest, out of those three, I would probably trade Jake Allen. I think
Well,
you
he's
can
the oldest.
that, but I think you can also get the most value for him because he is, I think, the best of the three of them.
Yeah.
I don't hate like the waiver rule is fucking stupid right now for goalies. So like we can't send Primo to the AHL or else he has to clear waivers. So he's kind of stuck playing like every fifth game. Whereas we'd rather have him in the AHL playing every other game.
Yeah.
So I not that I see a trade coming, but like I would understand if one is brewing right now. I would really like to keep Montembeault. I think he's obviously younger than Allen, but I think he has the potential to be better than Allen is right now. And it's not that he's going to be like a fucking superstar goalie either. Like, and that's not what I'm saying. But I think his ceiling's higher than Jake Allen's. He's a little younger. Quebecois guy. I think it just makes a little more sense to keep him. And I don't want to see Primo moved. I think he's only 23. There's still plenty of time for him to, become the goalie we think he is, or at least, part of the goalie that we think he is. He's not maybe not going to be a superstar, but like.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah. But I'm interested to see what the Habs try and get as a return. Whether we just go straight draft picks, whether we go kind of, I don't want to call them reclamation projects like Kirby Dach and Alex Newhook, but like a guy like that out of Edmonton. I don't know kind of what their roster looks like. It's not great. Outside of McDavid and Draisaitl, I don't think we're getting that off the Oilers.
No, I could see like maybe one of their younger defensemen or a prospect like that though, like maybe something like a Philip Broberg or a Vinny Desharnais, something like that packaged with a pick or
I
so.
don't want a defenseman. I don't want a defenseman. We don't need any more young defensemen. That's like we're pretty stockpiled there.
That's actually fair. What would you say is the Habs' greatest need at this point?
Probably, I know this is like a tough one because like every team needs, like we need centermen. Like we have Suzuki, we have Doc when he gets healthy. I don't know if either of them, like if you can get like I don't want to call like one of these guys a legit number one centerman, but like I think you could get a legit number one centerman to improve that three, move Doc out to the wing. If we could, I think that would be the ideal world. Do I think we can get that centerman from this Oilers team? Probably not.
I don't think who are their centermen beyond McDavid, Draisaitl? Is Nuge a centerman or is he on the wing? I believe he is a winger, but I could be wrong about that.
Give me 2 seconds to pull their roster up.
Yeah, here I'm pulling up my fantasy roster as well because he's on my fantasy team.
Yeah, so it's McDavid, Draisaitl. They have Nugent Hopkins listed as left wing / center. Ryan McLeod, Derek Ryan, James Hamblin, who's on his ELC, so he's not going to be that guy. Sam Gagner, who, the Habs absolutely don't need. Yeah.
Yeah. So
slim pickings there. At that point, I would probably prefer draft picks.
Yeah.
And
then you can draft.
They're at least they'll probably be mid round because they'll make the playoffs, but not do any damage. You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah.
But yeah, that would be my thing. I'd be looking to move Jake Allen out of those three, and that's no disrespect to him at all. He's a great goalie. I just think it makes sense for the team, makes sense for the Oilers to get kind of the best goalie in that deal. And I think he'd probably be the best goalie the Oilers have had in like a decade.
That's so sad because Jake Allen's not great. Like he's
he's not. He's good, but he's not great. But like, think back, like who was the last like actual good goalie the Oilers had?
Probably Rolly the goalie.
I was going to say it's like Dwayne Rollison in 06. Like,
yeah,
and he left shortly after that. Like he was not there for a long time after that.
No, he was not. That was a fun playoff run though. That was a very fun playoff.
Fernando Paisani absolutely fucking lighting it up for like 20 games and then doing nothing for the rest of his career. Iconic. Fernando Paisani.
Oh. Elite hockey name, by the way. Elite hockey name. Yeah, no, I think a fair deal, honestly, is Allen for McDavid 1-for-1.
I feel like they need to throw in a 7th or something. Like, it can't just be 1-for-1. Like McDavid and like a 6th or 7th for Jake Allen, I think.
Yeah, that would work.
Dane's gonna kill me if he hears that.
Yeah, that would be monumental for sure. You said you needed center depth. I don't think there's much more you could want at center.
Well, I mean, if we can't get that McDavid, I'll take Draisaitl. I think he's all right.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's a consolation, yeah, for Jake Allen.
Do you see Jake Trouba last night?
Jesus. That was wild. That was insane.
Like that's
he straight up slashed a guy in the side of the head.
Like Jake Trouba did his best Chris Simon impression, essentially. Like
and
that's
got fined $5,000.
Like Chris Simon got 25 games for that.
How is that a fine? How is that 0 games?
Like obviously the one I'm going to bring up is Matthews on Dahlin was 2 games.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Nice little cross check that rode up his chest plate into his face, and he gets fucking 2 games for that. And I had to miss the game that when I went to go see them, I didn't get to see Matthews play because of that. And Jake Trouba goes like full medieval French people, cutting people's heads off, and gets a $5,000 fine. What is going on?
Like someone,
if you need more evidence that they just throw a dart at a dartboard or spit a goddamn wheel or something, like, are you kidding? That's a $5,000 fine. He almost decapitated a guy with the blade of a stick.
Like, I just don't understand. And like we've said that we've gone through this so many times in the last 109 episodes, Ave. Like, but George Peros and the Department of Player Safety do not give a fuck about player safety.
Like, this has to be the craziest, unfathomable example, though. Like, how do you not see that as at least a few games, man?
This to me is up here with like Tom Wilson trying to fucking kill Artemi Panarin. In terms of like, how are you not getting suspended for that?
I just don't understand. Like, what's the criteria? Like, what?
That's the thing. There is no criteria. It's because they pick and choose what they want to suspend and fine people for, and it's entirely random the length of their suspension and the amount they get fined.
It actually makes me like crazy.
Oh yeah,
like it drives me insane, man.
I couldn't even tell you who the fucking Rangers were playing. Like, I have no vested interest in that situation at all. Like, I get it. Sometimes I'm a little heated when it comes to the Habs or the Habs players being suspended. Like, but I'm completely neutral in this. I don't care for the Rangers. I don't even know who the fuck they were playing.
Boston. We both hate Boston. It was Trent Frederick who ate a stick in the eye. Like, it's a
was Trent Frederick the one who cross-checked Mike Hoffman in the face and got a $5,000 fine for like busting his jaw? Was that him? Was it Trent Frederick?
I have no idea.
I forget what Bruin it was, but fucking like I used to remember Mike Hoffman posting the picture of his face just like all stitched up and busted up, and he was like,
"Yeah, I remember that. I just don't remember who did it."
And he's like, $5,000 fine, lol.
That doesn't even pay for my dental work, man. No. Oh my god. Yeah, no, it's something else. We don't need to spend too much time on it, but the Department of Player Safety really needs to dust out some cobwebs up there, wherever that office is, man, because those guys have no idea what's going on. No idea what's going on. I'm convinced it's like a strip club that they literally have a dartboard in, and every time like they get a call and it's, yeah, somebody just did something stupid, and then like they look at it on their phone once, and then they go drinking a beer, smoking a joint. And they're just
George Paris is sitting in an office with his fucking feet up, selling violent gentleman merch, and he just flicks the dart. Nope, $5,000 fine.
I've never seen a more incompetent like department in any business ever.
No, like if any other department of any other sports league was run as incompetently as the NHL's Department of Player Safety, they wouldn't exist. Like none of those people would be employed. Like they would gut the whole operation.
It's unreal. Yeah, that's enough on that though. Let's talk about some stuff from around the league. We talked about Quinn Hughes a little bit last week. They seem to have tailed off a little bit, the Vancouver Canucks. I believe they lost
just a little bit
last night. Did they lose last night? I was drunk, so I forget.
I'm double checking the schedule right now, but I know they've been, like you said, they've cooled off just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Very few teams can run at that pace for 82 games. So, like,
Yeah.
What do we got? Yes, they lost. They lost to the San Jose Sharks last night.
Yes, that's what it was.
That's not
you can't
great.
lose to the San Jose Sharks. You cannot lose to the San Jose Sharks.
No. I mean, like, even if it takes a shootout to beat them, you have to beat them.
You have to beat them. Yeah. Like, they're one of the worst teams in the history of the NHL, man. Like, you can't.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a juggernaut like Vancouver was looking to be. That's a real demoralizing loss, man. Like, when you're already kind of on a skid and then you lose to the worst team in professional sports.
Yeah.
It's demoralizing. Sorry, I feel like I'm missing a very large topic of something that happened around the league.
The only thing I want to bring up is Fleury and his mask.
Yes, I would love to talk about that. So yeah, the NHL is again, maybe it's the entire business because this department sucks too. Man, do you want to introduce it? You introduce it. Why don't you tell us what happened, Gitano?
Okay, so Marc-Andre Fleury, playing for the Minnesota Wild, they were doing, I forget what the theme of the night was.
Native American Heritage Night.
Yeah, that was the exact. It was something to do with their indigenous population. Yeah. And so some indigenous artists had designed a mask for him to wear in warm-ups. It was one of the nicest masks I've ever seen. Like, it was. I'm gonna edit the picture to here because it's for the video because it's that nice. It is so nice. And the NHL told him he couldn't wear it in warm-ups for whatever reason.
And this goes back to the Pride jerseys and players not wanting to wear Pride jerseys. This is the result. Is now we can't celebrate, like Marc-Andre Fleury, who by the way has an indigenous wife and indigenous children, cannot celebrate his family. He's also got quotes from his father on that thing. Like this is a celebration of Marc-Andre Fleury's family and Native American Heritage Night for the Minnesota Wild. And because a bunch of bigots last year decided not to wear Pride jerseys.
And like not even a bunch, by the way. It was like 4 guys.
Yeah, a handful is the better word, a better term. A handful of these idiots. Well, because of that, now Marc-Andre Fleury is not allowed to wear this, like Gitano said, beautiful mask, right? And he gets told that he's not allowed to wear it. He basically says, I'm going to wear it anyway. I don't really care. And then they threatened the Minnesota Wild with fines. The National Hockey League did. So they were
I believe the threat was a $50,000 fine. And I saw someone, I forget which personality, like someone involved in like hockey Twitter, was like, if the NHL goes through with fining the Minnesota Wild for this, the Wild should double down and donate double the fine to charity, to like indigenous like charity and causes.
Man. Like what is the harm? Like, is anybody gonna be mad or upset or like offended that Marc-Andre Fleury wore a Native American Heritage Night goalie mask that fucking celebrates his family and children? Like,
and
what
like
are
not
we doing?
even for warm up. That's it.
What are we doing? Like, why? I don't get it. I don't get what the point of any of that is. Like, what is the message that the NHL is trying to send there?
I mean, as far as I can tell, the message is we don't want you supporting any causes while you're doing your job. But meanwhile, the NHL is sitting here saying they support all these causes. And then the players want to show their support, and the NHL goes, no.
Like, man, I there's nothing more frustrating than that. Like, and good on him for wearing it, by the way. Marc-Andre Fleury followed through and wore the mask because
of course he did.
This is Marc-Andre Fleury, by the way, one of the greats of our generation. Like, this isn't Peter Mrazek, dude. Like, and you're gonna tell Marc-Andre Fleury that he can't wear that? Like, go to hell. Like, actually, so frustrating. Anyway, another thing that I'd like to talk about is Corey Perry.
Yeah. Okay. Have you heard like any like the Chicago Blackhawks? Surprise, surprise, are keeping this real quiet, keeping this
Oh, they
very
do
on the
not get the
down low.
benefit of the doubt. They do not get the benefit of the doubt in this. Like, let's be very clear. Maybe
No,
if this was something that's going on in like Dallas, we'd be like, okay, like give him his privacy. But because it's Chicago, no, no.
no.
Tell us what's going on. And the thing that makes this the most murky, number one, so here's the timeline of events. Let's do a little timeline here, Gitano.
Okay.
For a couple days there, it was just we don't know where he is. He's not with the team. That's all we're gonna say, right? And like 2 days later, we're like, okay, well, we need to know what's going on here. Nick Foligno even had a quote after the game. I have no idea where he is, or after practice one morning.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on. I just know he's not with the team. So pretty sketch, especially from Chicago to begin with, right? So early yesterday, the Chicago Blackhawks finally make a statement that they decided that he was going to step away from the team, indicating that it was their decision, not Corey Perry's decision, to step away from the team. And they didn't say why. Still, we don't know if this is a family issue. We don't know if this is a health issue, like with a family member or even himself. Like, we don't know anything about this. We don't know if maybe a family member has passed, something like that. But now, a couple hours later, Marc-Andre Fleury, I'm still thinking about the mask. Corey Perry's agent tweets out that he is he is stepping away from the team for personal reasons, and he appreciates privacy at this time, was what the tweet said. So now we have conflicting reports. We have the Chicago Blackhawks telling us that they told him to step away from the team. And we have Corey Perry's agent telling us that he stepped away from the team on his own merit, which makes it less clear than it was for 2 days in the beginning. Yeah. Because now we're sketched out. Now that plus it being the Chicago Blackhawks, now it's sketchy. Now it's really, really sketchy. And now it feels like they're hiding something, doesn't it?
I mean, like, it feels like they're always hiding something now. But like, even like, I remember even like the very first time, like it was like, oh, like Corey Perry's a healthy scratch. And it was just like, that's weird. He's been like their best player besides Connor Bedard this season. Like,
yeah,
interesting choice. And then it was like, oh, he's healthy scratched again. Wasn't at practice this morning. And like again, like there's no like just like even if they just said, oh, if he's hurt, you'd be like, all right, well, fuck, whatever. Like end of story. You know, he's hurt, whatever. You know, if they'd been like, oh, he took personal time away from the team, all right, that's that's fair.
That's allowed.
Yeah, but it was just the fact that they just didn't acknowledge any of it. They were just, oh, yeah, he's just a healthy scratch. He's just a healthy scratch. He's just a healthy scratch. It was like, nah, there's something fucking going wrong here.
Something's up, man. And I hope more comes out. Like there's a lot of good reporters in hockey, so I'm sure we'll find out more. I saw a tweet yesterday. The Katie Strang article on this is gonna hit. Like, who knows what's going on, man? It's Mark Lazarus is a great reporter down there as well. He'll hopefully. I think those guys will get to the bottom of this because it's we need some clarity, and mostly because it's the Chicago Blackhawks.
Oh, 100%. Like any other team, this is significantly less. Not I don't say it's not as serious, but we would be less, worried about what actually happened. Exactly. But yeah, Chicago and their history of covering things up is not helpful for them right now.
No, it's really shining the team in a bad light. And this is a time when they have the best young player in the world, and Connor Bedard. And they should be on their way up, but they keep doing this to themselves. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. We don't know anything.
Literally,
I don't want to speculate anything, but all I can tell you for sure is this is sketchy. So can't wait to see what's going on with it, and hopefully everybody's safe, everybody's healthy, and that's, I guess, the true important thing. Anyway, do you have anything else you would like to talk about other than upcoming games for the Leafs and Habs this week?
I don't think so. Yeah, the Habs only have the 3 games this week. We are in Columbus on Wednesday. Then we've got the Panthers and Red Wings in Montreal on Thursday and Saturday. And that's so nice quiet week for the Habs. What about the Leafs?
So after the back-to-backs on Friday and Saturday against Chicago and Pittsburgh, both of which were L's, but I didn't really say that earlier. Yeah, we lost a lot. It sucked. But we have the Panthers on Tuesday at home, the Kraken in town on Thursday, and Saturday night versus the Boston Bruins.
In Boston or Toronto?
In Toronto. Yeah, and then it looks like we're actually off until Thursday the 7th. So we have 5 days off after that Saturday night game.
Interesting.
Yeah, after having like weeks off at a time because of the Sweden trip, that is an interesting scheduling decision for sure.
Where do you guys play like the following week? Is it home games or are you going out somewhere?
In Ottawa.
All right.
Yeah, and then Saturday in Toronto against Nashville. That's not like that'll be 2 episodes from now. We'll be talking about that. But damn, that's weird. Anyway, schedulers this year have been making me question a lot of things. But anyway.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I don't have anything else, I don't think.
Okay. Did you already give the Habs schedule? Am I losing it?
Yeah, so we get we're in Columbus Wednesday, Panthers and Red Wings in Montreal on Thursday and Saturday.
Very nice. All right. Well, until episode 111, I am Avery Roche. This is Gitano Gallo. This episode was powered by 91N. Again, if you are not subscribed to them, visit their website. All sorts of great content. Thank you for listening. We appreciate it as always, and we will chat next Sunday.